Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of my 2020 garden. Today is May 2nd and I am about to start my final batch of seeds. Now while it's a beautiful day today, this week is going to be a very cold week with highs in the low 50s and lows in the low 30s. So I'm going to have to take these downstairs and put them on seed mats. But this is the final batch of seeds that I'm going to be starting. It consists of watermelon, cantaloupe, sunflowers, what else? Pumpkins. I think that's it. There's like 5 categories. So join me as we start our last batch of seeds for the year. Okay, if we look at my garden journal, for the first week of May, I should be able to plant all of these. Cucumbers, zooks, gourds, pumpkin, squash, watermelon, melons, spinach, lettuce, sunflowers, and then my bachelor button flowers, which I already have planted. So what I have left, I have these squashes. Different kinds of, these are delicata type squashes. This is what a delicata looks like. And then butternut squash. And I also have saved seeds from years ago for butternut squash. So we're gonna see if we can get those to germinate. I definitely want to do this jester one and this butterscotch one, because those are both hybrids. Then for pumpkins, I've got an eating pie pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin, this naked bear pumpkin is specifically grown for if you like to eat pumpkin seeds, and then I have these seeds that are sugar pumpkin. So I will plant some of those. For sunflowers, I just grabbed a bunch of different sunflowers. It looks like I have a couple of these. One of the things I don't like about their seed packs is the information on the back is very generic. So here it says perennial. But perennial to what zone? Because in the back here, it says they will die after first frost. So that's what I don't like about their seeds. This is one I just happen to pick up. This is a dwarf. Here's another dwarf. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the giant ones or not. I just haven't decided if I have the room. For watermelons, I want to do this sangria watermelon. I really would like to try a moon and stars. I have this one that is a hybrid. It's a yellow 10-pound watermelon. I have this Congo one and a sugar baby watermelon that I'm going to try to start from seed. And then for cantaloupe, I have this brand Top Mark. I have this Savor. I have this one called Tasty Bites. And this one called Sarah's Choice. And I have some seeds that I saved from a really, really good cantaloupe. And I think it was called an Italian cantaloupe. But, so we're going to try planting these too. These were really, really good. Oh, I also had some jack-o'-lantern seeds that I saved. And then pole beans. Now I went outside and I took a temperature reading of the soil. And it's supposed to be 60 degrees to plant beans. And it's at 55 degrees, so I'm not going to plant these yet. I also have these Scarlet runner beans. I don't know if I'm going to plant them or not. But I planted them, my first year I got like 10 seeds. Planted them and then got a bunch more seeds. So I would have them. So the beans are going to have to wait for now. I have everything, labels made for everything. Now, if you have seeds that don't have planting instructions on them, the general rule of thumb is plant the seeds 3 times the width of the seed. So you can see how big these are. I would plant these about 1 inch deep, so about 3 times the width of the seed. So this is a butternut squash seed. And on here it says sow 1/2 to 1 inch deep. You don't have to be exact, because unless you bury it 6 inches in the ground, they're not going to come up. But if you just put them in somewhere between 1/2 inch and 1 inch, they're going to be fine. So here you can see how I planted them on their sides for all of them. Now you just want to top all these off. So I just put a little bit, run my hand over them like that just to top them off. Now just give them a really good watering. So this tray is going to be cantaloupe and watermelons. So the same rule of thumb goes for them. 3 times the seed width. So anywhere between 1/2 inch and 1 inch deep. Plant the seeds on their side. And you can see the cantaloupe seeds are not nearly as wide. So I would plant these only 1/2 inch deep. So on the back of this Johnny's it says, sow seeds 3 per cell, about 1/4 inch deep. Okay, cucumbers. A lot of people start their cucumbers direct in the ground. And I have done that. And it can work. I live in the Harley capital of the world here. They're everywhere. So you can start your cucumbers direct sown, but then I wouldn't start them until probably middle of May, because you don't want them popping up above the ground. It says germinate 6 to 10 days. I would want them to germinate right around Memorial Day weekend, which is the last weekend in May. So, you know, subtract 10 days from Memorial Day weekend, and that's when I would put them in the ground, at least in my zone. I am in Wisconsin, southeast Wisconsin, zone 5A here. But I've learned the hard way not to put them in the ground before they're ready. And this way, this gives me at least a 3 to 4 week start on the growing season. So have you ever seen this kind? They're little tiny, like, I don't even, like the size of a grape tomato, maybe a little smaller. And they look like little bitty watermelons. These are one of those plants that are just fun to grow. They're like growing the currant tomatoes, those little tiny tomatoes. They're really fun to grow, but they're more of a novelty than anything else. So with cucumbers, you want to put them in the ground about 1/2 inch. Again, plant them on their sides as best you can. Now these are itty bitty tiny seeds. So, it's wood. And if memory serves, they are hard to germinate. So these were my favorite cucumbers to grow last year. I got a lot of production out of them, and they produced all summer long. Big, huge, 2-foot long cucumbers. I'm in my raised bed garden, and I changed my mind. I'm going to direct sow my sunflowers because I already had 4 flats and I only have 4 heating mats. So I'm going to direct sow these. They come up, they come up. If they don't, they don't. So behind me, I've got, wait, let me show you. So in this garden, this is the north edge of my raised bed garden. I've got this coming up. And this is Campagne. It is a herb and it gets really tall. I planted this last year, so this is the 2nd year for this. And in between each plant, You can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. In between each plant I've got space. And I had sunflowers in those spaces. So I'm going to put the sunflowers back in there. So I'm just going to scatter some of these seeds. So I just scattered them and I push them down. And then I'm just going to cover them back up. Put a little bit of this leaf over the top of it just to provide a little extra warmth. That's all I'm going to do. So these seeds will sit here. They are on heat mats. And I do have them covered. I keep them covered until they poke their heads through. They will stay down here on the heat mats until they germinate and they start poking their heads through. And then they will go outside during the day and come in at night until it reaches 50 degrees at night. Once it stays above 50 degrees at night, then your warm weather vegetables can stay outside. So that's it for this episode of Sharon's Home and Garden. I hope I'm able to make some sense of this once I edit it. Sometimes you never know because plans change as you're doing stuff and it's like, well, that's not going to work, so I'm going to do this. So hopefully it'll all come together and you'll be able to see how I end up doing this. So that is the end of my seed starting for this year. I will still direct sow some things, but as far as actual seed starting where I take them inside and start them, that's it. I'm all done for this year. So that feels good. Now what I'll do is I'll write down in my journal exactly what I've all planted, and then I'm going to go back and make some notes on how things are germinating and how things are growing. And the next time you see me, I will give you a garden tour and I can show you what's all coming up and how my plants are all doing, because everything's doing really well. So thank you so much for watching this episode. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to give me a thumbs up or click on that subscribe button. And until next time, happy gardening, everybody. Bye-bye.